In Japan, men are legally entitled to 1 year of paternity leave, but hardly anyone takes it.
Some of my friends working for government of Japan, they can take paternity leave, but they are all afraid.
A Canadian is taking his former employer to court, claiming he was ostracized and ultimately fired.
The culture in Japan is you don't marry your family, you marry your company.
The law versus the reality of paternity leave in Japan. Later on The World This Weekend. A David and Goliath-style fight is playing out in Japan this week over paternity leave. A Canadian is taking a major financial services company to court. He says he was mistreated for taking leave to be with his newborn son. As Kimberly Gale reports, he's not just challenging the company, but a deeply ingrained cultural practice. A handful of people stand outside the Tokyo District Court wearing matching black t-shirts reading, "Have babies, get fired."
I'm here today to show my support for Glenn's case. There are increasing calls in Japan for more men to take part in raising a child, and I want to join Glenn's campaign against paternity harassment.
Supporters are here for what was supposed to be the first open session in a legal battle. It pits Mitsubishi UFJ Morgan Stanley against its former manager of global sales, Glenn Wood. But Wood says the judges told him they postponed the session after seeing his case gaining traction on social media.
They felt that they just couldn't handle the number of people that were going to come.
The Ontario-born single father has lived and worked in Japan for 3 decades. He says he became a victim of paternity harassment, or patahara, when he took time off to be with his newborn son, born prematurely nearly 4 years ago. We sit down in a cafe and he explains.
The culture in Japan is very much that, you're married to your company, and you don't marry your family, you marry your company.
Wood says when he returned to work after 4 months, he was reassigned to a menial job with less pay.
I was also just no longer part of the team. So it was ostracization. It was, not telling me about meetings, not telling me what was going on.
He says when he complained to HR, the company said he was lying and fired him. Mitsubishi hasn't responded to CBC's request for comment, but has publicly denied any harassment. Paternity leave for up to a year is a legal right in Japan. And the government, which is trying to cope with a shrinking population, says they want to see more men taking it. But according to a recent UNICEF report, almost no one does. In 2017, just 1 in 20 men.
His wife was asked to postpone pregnancy for 2 years of that.
Some fathers at a Tokyo daycare have gathered for a lunch to discuss their experiences.
Once you take a paternity leave or maternity leave, it's harder to get in the child care service.
You need to prove that you're working.
Yes, some of my friends working for government of Japan, they can take paternity leave, but they are all afraid because they will detract from their promotion trail.
Wood says eliminating that fear is one of the reasons he's keeping up his fight. He says it's easier to take on as a foreigner.
You can't harass people and play with their livelihood because they choose to have a family. It's a remnant of feudal Japan that must be eliminated if this culture is going to survive.
The open court session has been rescheduled for mid-October. But Wood says in some ways he's already won by raising awareness about paternity harassment. Kimberly Gale, CBC News, Tokyo. On CBC Radio 1 and Sirius XM 169, this is The World This Weekend. Listen online at cbc.ca. Listen anytime. Download The World This Weekend at cbc.ca/World This Weekend. On Twitter, we're at CBC TWTW. I'm at CBC Martina.